Okay, let's try to get a good one, and then I'll talk. I will. Well, I'll bring up the link. Rather, I'll bring up the a web page to look at. Um, of course, the biggest news item today, the biggest news item on everybody's mind is that ICE is now doubling down on their latest killing. You know, the time before we were talking about Renee Good, the response to that, the protests, and how the state government is failing to meet the moment, as is the local government. So, like, citizens and residents are taking matters into their own hands, which I think is commendable, right? Because it shows that they care enough about their community to put it all on the line. But ICE has killed another person. They have murdered 37-year-old Alex Pretty, who was a nurse, a registered nurse, and a union worker as well. He was part of the nurses union. And it wasn't like there was even less of a wedge that they could use to sort of make excuses than there was for Renee Good. There were like 7 or 8 guys all on top of Alex Pretty, wrestling and wrangling him to the ground. And remarkably, they actually failed. They actually failed to keep him on the ground. He was able to wrestle a little bit free and start to stand up. They'd been hitting him with the baton. And then because they had been emasculated by this Giga Chad nurse, they just decided to shoot him. They disarmed him first. They took his gun. He was legally carrying. He had it in a holster and so on. You know, we have the Second Amendment in America. They took the gun away from him. And then they shot him not once, but like several times. They emptied an entire magazine, handgun magazine into him point blank. And then they all backed up and like scurried away because they know, like they know that they've just committed a crime and that they're like evil pieces of shit. And you can see this all in the video. What happened now? ICE murdered another person in broad daylight. Yeah, a registered nurse, union worker. His name was Alex Pretty. And they wrestled him to the ground. There was like 7 of them. They wrestled him to the ground, beat him. And then when they actually couldn't hold him down because they're all like high school dropout pieces of shit who are completely dysfunctional in every possible way, including physically, he wrestled free a little bit, and so they pulled out their gun. One of the agents pulled out their gun and just shot him to death, emptied the entire magazine into him. The SS Reborn, it does indeed seem that way. In fact, there's a photo that parallels this, where the SS is about to shoot a guy in the middle of the street. They have the gun to the back of his head. It really does seem just like that. It's almost directly parallel to that, in fact. And second place. Okay. That was a better race. Now that I've got a good race under my belt, that one wasn't even particularly good. I got hit in places where I really shouldn't have, but I placed decently well. I will quit out briefly to take a look at the video, which may be TOS, but I don't fucking care, because this is too important. And it really seems like this is a point of no return. That's what it seems like to me. Let me see on my profile if I can find it, because I know I like you reposted this. Let's just do this. Oh, that's here. That's not what I want to do. Let me go to, let's see. Where's main window? There it is. There we go. Now you can see my monitor. This is in reaction to the shooting, so we're going kind of backwards in time a little bit here. Minnesotans, residents of Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities, have taken up arms to basically be armed guards for the protesters in the event that ICE shows up. Taking a page out of the Black Panthers book. If I scroll backwards here, I may be able to find the video. Yeah, here we go. Appears to be this was the day it happened. Appears to be a video of ICE killing a man on the street. So we're going to watch without, well, we'll watch with audio.
They
Fuck it.
too much, man, and they keep pushing people, you know?
Here they are, they're wrestling him to the ground. They can't really keep him down too well, so one guy starts hitting him, I think. Yeah, there. One of the guys, I think this is about the point where somebody grabs his gun. Yeah, you can see this guy in the gray and jeans right here. This fuck is reaching to his holster. I think they take his gun away, and then this guy next to him, with the black beanie that it comes up a little bit beyond his head, and this brown shirt, you might even say. Shoots him. He's still shooting. I didn't even notice this when I watched this video the first couple times.
Oh shit! What the fuck? They killed him? Did they?
You see, did you follow my cursor there? Follow my cursor as this happens.
Oh shit! What the fuck? They killed him? Did they fucking kill that guy? Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
There's no ambiguity about this. None whatsoever. But of course, ICE and CBP and the government have decided that they are going to die on this hill. They are going to defend this. Because that's what they do. They hate you. They want to kill. They don't just want you to die. They want to get to be the person that kills you. They want to be this guy. This is what they fantasize about. This is fascism distilled in its purest form. These insecure, unfuckable, subhuman losers who have nothing in society, don't believe in anything, and only live for the prospect of potentially getting to, with the authority of a paternalistic authoritarian state, enact great violence upon others, because that gives them a modicum of catharsis and satisfaction, which they could potentially then coast off of until the next incident where they get to do that, potentially involving raping women as well. And the only difference between these guys and your average Trump supporter is your average Trump supporter is not doing the shooting. They merely have to take catharsis by proxy. It's so naked in its evil that things are accelerating very quickly. If I go back here, immediately, I'm not even gonna take a look at like what Greg Bovino had to say, because I don't give a fuck. We all know what he had to say. Domestic terrorist. Actually, he deserved to be shot. Nice meme. And yeah, people are now more openly fighting back against ICE. I did see the stream of Hassan going to Minnesota. I saw some of the streams when he was at the protests, and there were already a lot of people out there, but these protests were already massive, and because ICE keeps escalating, they are not going to fizzle out and go away. Even with protests such as the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020, in 2021, there was some motivation for those protests to fizzle out over time, because there wasn't necessarily anything that kept stoking them after a certain point. This, I believe, genuinely is different, because number one, ICE shows no signs of slowing down. They just want to keep killing people. I watched the Majority Report this morning, and a school teacher called in from Minnesota, from the neighborhood where Renee Good was shot, and said that ICE is literally patrolling the neighborhood, prowling around an elementary school to such an extent that the school has had to become a hub of like resistance communication networks where teachers are making supply runs and delivering stuff to the doors of these families who can't fucking step outside. Otherwise, they would be like shot by ICE like immediately. That's just what ICE is doing. And like that doesn't even mention something I saw up here, which is the rancid ass detention conditions. And yes, concentration camps. It is just the 1930s again, where anybody they've detained is living. They have to live, eat, and sleep in these conditions. This is worse than a lot of tenement housing in the much maligned industrial period in the United States, where there was like rampant corruption, open corruption. You know, this truly is only comparable to the thing that it is, which is a concentration camp. You know, who knows what kind of abuses are happening behind closed doors in these federal facilities, right? Here's a 20-second time lapse. This has to be like tens of thousands of people. Look at this. It keeps going. And yes, thank you. Fuck you, I quit MAGA. Like these people who are taking pleasure at just the thought of being the boot on your neck have no idea how much the country fucking hates them and how much their evil is radicalizing people against them in real time. Thank you, Kyle. Very cool. Then there was something else I wanted to point out, which is the response from Democrats. So, I can't say I am a big fan of Joshua Reed Eagle. He is a liberal in the worst kind of form. He is pro-democracy and pro-trans, but supports all the like worst excesses of neoliberalism that ultimately got us to this point, would die to prevent a single building of Section 8 apartments from being built to densify a neighborhood. Nonetheless, Chris Murphy's response here is typical of what Democrats are willing to do. That is to say, like, he represents the furthest that Democratic politicians are willing to take this. Actually, wait, no, it's not this. It's this is the letter from Pam Bondi. Sorry, this is even a different thing. Lefty misinfo. I can't even fucking read. I didn't even bother to read. This is the thing where, as a part of ICE doubling down, the Justice Department said, okay, hand over all of your citizens' voter information and maybe we'll leave the state. That information is contained at the state level. The federal government doesn't have access to it by default. What they're saying basically is allow us to completely dictate elections in your state forevermore, and we'll leave the state. Give us everything we want, and we maybe will leave. And they just put that on their word. Let me see if I can find something else here where a lot of Democrats have now is even worse than a lot of concentration camps, because there they at least have actual beds to lie in. Yes, as strange as it is, these conditions are worse than actual concentration camps. You have all of the essentials, for example, squalid hygiene, the lack of food and water consistently. People have reported being denied food, water, and essential medical care. There's obviously rampant abuse from the guards and from ICE agents within the facilities. Of course, that's what they want. But on top of that, they have to deal with these aluminum blankets and sleep on the floor. They don't get beds. This is the only way this could get worse is if they stopped being concentration camps and started being death camps where people were systematically executed because they just felt like it. Yeah, okay, here's the thing I want to show, which is, this is Representative Eric Swalwell. He is a congressman from California, and he made this video here saying, ICE, quit your job. There will be legal accountability and so forth. Basically, the Democrats have been willing to step things up. But as Kyle says, a lot of these people voted in favor of a resolution to thank ICE for their service in June of this year. These people are not your allies. Just quit, walk off the job. This will forever haunt you. Civilized societies don't have mass militias swarming our streets, but Donald Trump has turned communities into war zones. Trump turned ICE into an angry army. This is the kind of rhetoric I meant to highlight. I mean to highlight here. Trump's turned ICE into an angry army. No, he hasn't. It was always that. It was already that. They just gave them further and further carte blanche. You lose your driver's license. If you work for ICE, you're disqualified from ever working for the state. Like, proposing to do these things, like, this isn't nothing, but obviously he doesn't intend to actually do any of this. It's a grift. Yeah, like, liberals in this instance are the enablers and facilitators of fascism. And I'm mad at this guy because guess what? Kyle Kulinski in many ways is also a liberal. This guy is an affront to the ideology that bears the name liberalism. Like, we're so far beyond the pale here. This is liberal fascism. What this guy is saying. Oh yeah, haha, we will take action against ICE. He doesn't mention abolishing ICE at any point, which, by the way, is now the moderate position. Abolishing ICE is the moderate position. A more appropriate response would be abolish the department, put everybody who has ever worked for that department in the oubliette for all time, and like rebuild the INS from the ground up. Immigration Naturalization Services, as a part of the Department of Justice. And of course, like, throw everybody in prison who was part of the Trump administration, at the very least, the second Trump administration. That's a more appropriate solution to this. And that's just the first step. That's the start, right? Like, that addresses the immediate street level violence that people are experiencing as a product of ICE. You know, that ICE is enacting against them. That doesn't even get to a lot of the broader systemic failings of a liberal state that is increasingly captured by the bourgeoisie, the owning class. You know, Democrats aren't even willing to do less than the bare minimum. Like, it used to be that there was the bare minimum to potentially address or stave off the issue in a meaningful way. And then there was the crumbs, and the Democrats would go for the crumbs. Now the Democrats aren't even willing to give you crumbs anymore. And of course, I haven't mentioned the Republicans. They're the people out there trying to shoot you to death. Unfortunately, it's not just the federal Democrats either, the like national Democrats. It's the state Democrats too. Tim Walz's response to this has been less than nothing. The state has actually like declined to say that they would prosecute ICE for any of the crimes that they've committed. They've like literally defaulted to the grifty centrist podcaster line of, oh, well, we're having conversations. That's great. Do you intend to enforce the law or no? And they can't answer the question because they know that the answer is no. They're not going to enforce the law. And yeah, that is like increasingly people are coming to the conclusion that that's really the only answer at this point. We're kind of at a tipping point here. And this was another thing I wanted to highlight. And then we can get to the media complicity because the media is also completely complicit on this. where tyrannical government is here. It's not some kind of looming hypothetical or constitutional crisis. The constitutional crisis is long since over and done with. The Constitution is dead. And the institutions calcifying is what killed it. Democrats and Republicans both killed it. The federal government has abandoned any pretense of doing anything productive for society. State governments, in their relationship to the federal government, in their proximity to national political organizations that are captured by the deep state, have abandoned any pretense of doing anything productive for society. The federal government is the one killing you, and the state government, from Tim Walz in Minnesota, has announced that they are not coming to the rescue. And I know that, this is not Mario Kart. I know this isn't Mario Kart. I'll get back to that in just a minute. There's one more thing with the media, because the media has also decided to play defense for ICE. And when I say decided, I mean that their shareholders and owners have decided for them that you are going to basically use equivocating rhetoric. You cannot say the administration are lying. You cannot accuse them of being liars. You cannot levy any direct refutation against the things that they're saying. You can ask questions. You can play the video that directly contradicts them, but you cannot indicate that you think that they are not telling the truth. Here. CNN is just one example of this. Sheds new light. Where was the Dana Bash video? Okay.
Back to the Second Amendment, what you're saying about
this video is only 3 minutes long. Once I finish this video, I will not have finished my analysis, but we can get back to the Mario Kart and I will deliver the rest of my analysis there, because I don't think any more links would be required to look at on a separate monitor.
Is peacefully protesting with firearms? Absolutely, I've done that myself, and fully support that, but not when you perpetrate violence, obstruct, delay, or obfuscate Border Patrol.
I don't necessarily feel the need to refute the factual nature of anything Bovino is saying, though that is even more than what Dana Bash would do. So I guess I will, just to show up CNN and to show that I'm a better journalist than anybody in the journalism profession right now, unless their name is Ryan Grimm or Ken Klippenstein. He is lying here. Perpetrating violence against ICE agents. The fuck does he mean? There's video of leading up to this incident as well. The reason they wrestled this guy to the ground, he wasn't actually even there protesting. He was a legal observer. You are legally protected if you wish to observe and document the activities of law enforcement. In the United States, it's perfectly legal. It is constitutionally protected. This is a freedom of expression and freedom of the press matter. You can have your phone or a camera and you can follow the cops around and you can film them as they are doing their stuff, right? And that includes ICE agents, because ICE agents are federal law enforcement. He is lying.
In the performance of their duties in an active...
And he knows he's lying too. Greg Bovino does not believe anything that he says here. But what he knows is that he's in friendly territory. He knows that Dana Bash is not allowed to contradict him, is not allowed to say, you're lying.
No evidence that he was perpetrating violence. And there's no evidence, unless you have it, and we'd love to see it if there is, that he was intending.
And we love to see it if there is. See, she has to be conciliatory here. And the fact that she doesn't just crash out on him on air, call him a tiny manlet piece of shit Nazi who fucking peaked in middle school and like doesn't belong in government and like should be ashamed of himself and hopes that like millions of people more in America hate him every day so he can go to bed crying like he always does. Anything short of a crash out like that on national TV, I would consider journalistic malpractice. But The reason they don't do that is because they care about the salary more than the fate of this country. And the deep state, the shareholders, the military industrial complex, all those people who own all of these news networks, that own all these businesses, that control capital, have issued marching orders. Essentially, if she has that crash out, if she even says you're lying, her job is on the line. She gets fired instantly. That is the rule that has been handed down to her.
Intending to massacre law enforcement, other than the fact that he was there and he had a gun lawfully.
Even this is a massive concession to their framing. Oh, he had a gun. Like connecting that even remotely to claims of violence is like why the fuck does that even register? His gun was holstered. It was on his waist. He didn't have it. He was holding his phone. There was no display of even intent of violence, except from the ICE officers.
He meant to be there beforehand. Again, Dana, he came there beforehand.
How do you know that?
A reason.
How do you know that?
Because he was there.
But all
he was
It's just completely incoherent. It just
doing was filming and documenting it, which is legal. He was carrying a gun, which in Minneapolis
I didn't
is
say
legal.
it wasn't, and I didn't say it wasn't legal.
So then what did he do that was illegal?
Assault federal law enforcement when he does that. That's an active law.
See here, she says, like, what did he do that was illegal? And he says he assaulted law enforcement. She can't say no, he didn't. They can play the video. In fact, they're playing the video right here. They can play the video of him clearly not doing anything wrong and like ICE murdering him in front of everybody. She cannot say, you're wrong. I think you're lying. We have video evidence to contradict it. There's no debate here. Get the fuck off of my television show. She's not allowed to say that. And she, like a good little dog of the state, is going along with it because she gets a pretty handsome salary.
Law enforcement crime
Where do you see in the video that he was
decided to
assaulted?
enter into?
See, look, where do you see in the video that she can ask questions? You know what? I don't think there's any point in watching the rest. The rest of this video is just more of the same. Let's, I'm going to go back to playing Mario Kart now. But that's not the full extent of my analysis. I will deliver the rest of it momentarily. Show that. Very nice. Okay. So we've seen the video of ICE killing Alex Pretty, nurse, member of the nurses union. We've seen the federal government doubling down to such an extent that they are demanding that Minnesota hand over all of their voter information. And we've seen the state government not do anything in response. We've seen the media completely abandon all pretense that they represent some kind of standard of truth and reporting. So now what's left? What's left is the people of Minneapolis. The local government isn't coming to help. The local and state governments are actively complicit. The media is actively complicit. The federal government is just doubling down. ICE will do this again. So people are taking to the streets. They're following ICE around. They are creating community organizing groups, group chats and whatever to warn people of ICE presence, to essentially like form a parallel power structure. This genuinely, the reason I say this is a tipping point is because the conventional power structures have completely rug pulled the people of Minneapolis, St. Paul, the people of the Twin Cities. And so now, out of sheer necessity for not wanting to be shot, not wanting to be properly disappeared, people are starting to create their own parallel power structures. It's not even a conscious effort. I think this is the greatest misunderstanding of organizing, is that this has to be a conscious effort, that you are going out with the intention of creating a parallel power structure. People's lives are threatened, so these parallel power structures just kind of emerge. Oh shit, ICE is shooting people? Let's make sure that we're warning our neighbors about ICE being in the area so they can stay inside and like deny them any entry to their houses and not get shot and like live to see another day. And like that happens all across the city. this kind of organizing is spontaneous. And it speaks to, yes, this is high key. This is anarchist praxis. This is socialist praxis. This is all kinds of praxis, right? Like, this is people taking politics into their own hands because like their hand has been forced. I'm gonna, okay. I guess I'll just hold this mushroom. I think this actually, like, this, to me, this represents actually a significant prerequisite for an anarchist or socialist revolution. Or even, hell, even like a liberal social democratic revolution. Any kind of left-wing revolution, this is sort of a necessary prerequisite, that there is not only civil unrest, but like conditions that are so untenable that people are naturally compelled to form another like alternative political front. You know, we can revisit like Leninist revolutionary conditions, revolutionary situations in a second, but like I think the pieces are all there. Hopefully I'll blast past these guys. Yep. Well, might get past one of them or not. It is what it is. Many have commented in weeks, months, years past, in decades past, whatever, that in order for a system to properly be supplanted, for like a neoliberal system to be supplanted with a socialist one, for a better world, post-capitalist world to be possible, there has to be a degree of communization. And what that means essentially is there's a shift away from federal politics, away from the politics of the state, and towards the politics of the city, of the town, of the locale, right? And to see that shift happen, basically for people to become invested, the opposite of alienated in the fate of their community, on a very broad scale. And I think we're seeing that forming, especially because in 2025, 2026, all the big stories, you know, sure, you had the fucking absolute circus that is the federal government with the Republicans saying, haha, we're invading Venezuela, haha, you know, we want to invade Greenland, and the Democrats doing nothing. The real big, like, game changers have come from local politics. Think Omar Fateh almost winning in Minneapolis, Zoran Mamdani winning in New York, Katie Wilson winning in Seattle. Hell, Zoran Mamdani already did free childcare. New York already has free childcare for kids under 5, I believe, because that's when, you know, that's like the big, like there's a big gap in the social safety net before K-12 education starts. That's in the first couple of weeks, all because people care about their local politics. That shift is going to occur in more places. We've seen it occurring in some of the bigger cities already. And at the same time, we've seen also that the other methods of doing politics, the state and federal methods, as opposed to the local method, have just completely decayed and withered away, and they're just about enacting violence against the people that they control. Got him? The politics of the prole and the polis. I like that. That's a good, like, shorthand. But yes, it's like, it is very much the politics of the urban proletariat. And I do mean the urban proletariat, because rural people are the ones supporting and cheering on ICE here. That's driving this. It's always the well-educated classes, you know. You know what? It was worth it. Did we push each other off? We did. That's pretty funny. Wow. Fuck you, dude. I'm just gonna probably get last again. Things are gonna get a lot more turbulent than they ever have been in America. Like, I've mentioned that there was a significant degree of political turbulence in America in the 1960s and 70s. I think we're gonna see something that surpasses even that. We're gonna see, you know, I guess, like I said, that large-scale communization, the refocus of politics from the state to the polis, the city. The police. The federal government has already relegated itself to a position of complete irrelevancy from the perspective of doing anything good. And there's no shot in hell that with any of the parties or structures that dictate federal politics right now, there's no shot in hell that that changes anytime soon. In a way, this could itself be a manifestation of balkanization of the United States. I don't think the United States is going to fracture into the 50 different states a la the disunited states of America or a la the Balkans at any point in history. I think the federal government will continue to exist as an increasingly irrelevant, tyrannical, and like completely useless artifice. As it hopelessly tries to, desperately tries to maintain any sort of relevance and power, but in so doing perpetuates the exact things that cause it to lose that power and legitimacy, which drives people further into the arms of local politics. I think that's what we're kind of primed to see over the next several years and decades. You know, and at the end of all that, like, a better world is possible. Good things are in fact possible, but it's gonna be painful. It's gonna be very painful, and people are gonna have to work for it. And I don't mean you're gonna have to work for it like you work a job. What I mean is like you should know your neighbors and be invested emotionally in like things going on around town in a city, right? This is why I think the future is in the cities and not in the rural hinterlands. They're called the rural hinterlands for a reason, you know? In every place on Earth, in every time period, the rural hinterlands have been a backwater that houses the uneducated and the reactionary. With the exception of maybe Mexico, because, I don't know, Mexico's just on some different shit, I guess. I'd have to read more about them. I want to get last again. Probably it is what it is. Oh no, wait, there's like one person behind me. Babushka maxing soon will come. Yes, we all need to start babushka maxing. We need to be the little old grandma or grandpa that cares about the townsfolk and will like give you a cookie if you come by their house. Right? Legitimately, what you can do to help like bring this about is just get to know your neighbors and like participate in city life, you know? Maintain contact with your friends. Go to some local events. It doesn't have to be politics. I'm not even going to tell you to go to your town hall meetings because I actually think that the conventional structures of city and local government are going to be next in line after state government to like wither away. You know, the neoliberal model of city government, I don't think is that long for this world, right? Mamdani and Katie Wilson are proving that. So yeah, put the social in socialism is what I'm saying. And hey, for all the people that hate socialism, I know there are some people that hate watch my channel. For all the people that that hate socialism and that hate people who love democracy and who are on the left, here's what you can do to potentially fight against this. Don't have friends. Stay inside and kill yourself. Just be antisocial and maximize the degree to which your life is antisocial, and that is a perfect recipe to staving off socialism for a little bit longer. But if you want the world to be better, just, you know, go out and like do your shit and like do good things in your local community and give a shit about your local community, and it will be reflected down the line, I promise. That's my takeaway on the situation in Minneapolis right now. We are at that tipping point. We might be going beyond it. I genuinely think that if the Democrats don't have somebody ideologically comparable to Mamdani, running for president or governor, I think it's just as well to completely disengage from federal and state politics, except for maybe like you could, you know, pay attention to it, but like put your real effort into going to local events and like keeping up with your friends, knowing your neighbors, warning people of ICE if it does come to it, and that sort of thing. Why is Dry Ruins highlighted in red? Oh well, I'm picking it anyways.
Later.
But we have come to the end of the live stream. I guess to recap what happened this stream, I was good at Mario Kart, got Mario Karted on several occasions, and then proved when I wasn't getting Mario Karted that I'm just better at the game than all these fuckers who were trying to bump me off the course. And I talked about my analysis of the situation in Minneapolis, that being that ICE has now switched up from just detaining and disappearing people to now just murdering them in broad daylight if they perceive the slightest hindrance to their activity. They've done this twice, undoubtedly because of some footage that emerged after Renee Goods and Alex Pretty's shootings, their murders, of like more people being wrestled to the ground and being aware that they could be shot at any moment. Undoubtedly, ICE is going to do this again, and there is no chance, I think, of de-escalation at this point, which means that the federal government and state government and local government are going to land on one side, and the urban proletariat is going to land on the other. And I mean this in the most direct possible sense. Like, the bourgeoisie, the owning class, is supporting and influencing the state government, the local government, the federal government. Meanwhile, the urban proletariat, the residents of the city who have to work for a living, that is their relationship to production, to economics, are the people who are experiencing the brunt of this decision making, to allow ICE infinitely way to detain and kill anybody they want. And the more this boils up, the more it's going to become very evident that the federal government and the state government, for all their, for all the king's men, they have very little real power. And the organizing power at the local level is going to become the new language of politics, I think, right? We've seen this with New York City, with Minneapolis, to a certain extent, with Seattle as well, the increasing focus on local politics, while the federal government and state governments are relegated to aura farming at the best of times or actively trying to make things worse in more realistic scenarios. This is, I believe, a form of communization, and I am genuinely, I'm going to start revolution posting here. I think these are revolutionary conditions. I don't think it's revolutions aren't necessarily the one-time climactic events that we kind of learn about in school. They happen over years, decades even. And they occur, the way that they look when they occur is a shift over time of political power being centralized in one place to it then being centralized somewhere else, or even not centralized. And it certainly seems like political power is becoming a lot less decentralized and delegated to the level of cities, and increasingly to communities in those cities, where, the previous political authorities of state and federal government, in their desperate attempts to try to hold on to power, are further alienating themselves from power, because political power will always be grounded in your relationship to the people, to communities. And when the federal government and state government are actively hostile to those communities, sending in law enforcement officers to kill people and then refusing to press charges or conduct an investigation, even from the direction of being a mild opposition party, refusing to say that they will actually prosecute federal authorities for breaking the law and committing murder, that in itself, I think, makes their grip on power loosen significantly. That's my analysis in a couple of minutes, but I did a segment. Maybe I can include this little bit as part of the segment too. If I do include that, future me, cut it there. And thank you for watching the live stream. I'm now going to raid somebody. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, even donate to support the channel. It would really mean a lot to me.